You were listening to Samuel Hofman on Radio Wasteland. 4 tray North Sida, followed by an asterisk, very creative. It says electromagnetic universe period, so that's, let's see if that bleeds into our next one pretty well. Anon says, why no discussion of the magnetic signatures of ISWA, ISWA, Integrated Space Weather Analysis System? Clearly show the conical hat when Ra arrived, and those planets are Horus's box. We live in a 3-sun system. Your observations are good. Your analogy of what you are seeing is incorrect.
Yeah, I've heard the trinary scenario many times, and I've heard that from that person, as a matter of fact, many times, and looked into it. I can't go with the trinary system because it doesn't work mathematically according to my personal equations that did work out. They got the government attention. And if I was wrong, I do not believe they would have stifled me with a 30-year non-disclosure agreement. They would have just ignored that 17-year-old kid in Montana. But when we talk about a trinary, now we do know that from the Pleiadian information I was given, that there is a tool star, which is a tiny ultraviolet blue star that hangs just off the atmosphere of Nibiru, and I have not talked a lot about this in the past to very many people because I haven't absolutely been able to prove it beyond, a few dozen photographs. And when you see the blue shaft light in some photographs where it goes, it's a shaft of vertical light that goes through all the pictures, straight up, straight down, goes top to bottom. That is the Nibiru's tool star. And as it was explained to me was the planetary system where the people live on in the secondary larger solar system, the Nibiru group, those people would go behind at some point in time, behind Hercubus, and away from the visual of their star and be dumped into ice ages that would last 1,000 years or whatever. So they created this tool star, which is like throwing an extra magnet on the table to keep the attraction and placement of their planet directly in line with their star at all times. And that's technology I don't fully understand, but I was informed that it had to do with part of their gold tech, etc. And so, in fact, you could actually call it a trinary, but this is a being-made or a man-made creation, and I'm not going to say sun simulator because that's an entire another story and a whole bunch of Facebook chaos and disinfo having to do with that, and that was made up by some silly people that really didn't know what they were talking about. But anyway, and of course I got into a snowball and went just completely crazy. But the trinary scenario is entirely possible, but believe me, we have 2. If we had 3, then we'd have a whole another ball game going on altogether, and it would be a nightmare.
Gotcha. Okay, Lucinda Ray 786. Again, thanks, Chauncey, for having Samuel back on your show. We love it when you do. Oh, Andrea must have put that in to make me feel good. Lucinda, you're my new fave. Okay, this last one is this one I know you're not on board with. It's just wild, but I don't know if this person's joking or what. I'm just going to see if you've heard of it before. 74 Ohm King Avalon 47 says, if you add flat Earth, round Earth, and hollow Earth, you get an eyeball. We live on the flat Earth under the dome in the iris. The hollow Earth is the North Pole. It's the pupil. It's the entrance to the eyeball. It's where the light comes in. Then you have the white wall ball you can't cross, and it's the South Pole, and it's where the cosmic eye connects to the cosmic mind, so you can't go there, so it's all one thing. You have to look at the whole thing because they're all correct.
Wow.
Mind blown.
I don't even know if we dare answer that.
Well, it makes me think of a celestial, like the head nowhere in Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever.
Right, and when people start throwing flat Earth and the firmament and all of that stuff out, I just sit there and go, oh boy. They don't even take into account cosmic rounding. I'm sorry, we're not on some plane, I mean, which would constitute us being farther under a matrix level of control by some sort of larger beings that are, I mean, next thing you know, you're going to have E.T. looking in the fishbowl, giant big head looking in our tiny little fishbowl joke.
Right.
Great that they believe what they believe in. I'm sorry I can't go there.
Yeah. Well, that's our collection of questions, so we're in the weeds now, so we're able to just kind of go for it. What can people expect to see coming up in the skies?
Well, have you noticed the amount of disclosure that's going on?
Yeah, that's been a big topic around here, and, I'm personally more disturbed that the government is admitting that they don't know something.
Yeah, I'm sure they're completely discussing because they can't avoid what we've been citing. We have had worldwide sightings since the last time we spoke of the long box cube and the Texas cube and fleets, and I'm not talking fleet, I mean fleets, plural, multi-plural, and cubes, and we're watching the Empire orb again, and this week, and they've announced the cylinder. They talked about a cylinder being sighted, and this was, of course, a NASA release. And I have, by eye, twice this week seen the cylinder in the sky using my own two eyes, not a camera or anything like that. Because I fry, by the way, everybody, I don't take my own pictures anymore because I fry cameras. I've bought 5 cameras, and they don't work for me because I fry electronics. Anyway, same reason I don't have a cell phone. I have seen by eye this huge, massive cylinder, and the sky sightings have been so unbelievable because these planets are so close, and they're just, I mean, we're swimming in them, and most of the time you're staring at a planet at one time or another, and there's absolutely no clouds in the sky, but we're literally staring at literally a planet in a lot of cases. And then they come in, and it's been really, really weird because it's all directionally changed from my first decade of viewing. Where they arrived from is completely different now than when they did, which means we're definitely in between them. And all the crop circles are leading toward solar separation, and we're seeing multiple discussions about the Mayan and the Aztec calendar, and that's just as of May 26th, we moved into the period known as the sixth sun, which tells me, and I was calling separation here a few months ago, which tells me that all of these things are falling into line. So we're literally going to start seeing more facial illuminations of the planets as they go past us, and you can see them greater at sunset, where Nibiru and Isatum are literally coming over the top of us every evening at nightfall. And that, of course, changes from time to time. And then we'll like run a week where you don't get any very good sightings because of where we are somehow. I haven't figured out the whole axis thing. But the axes are changing again, and we're seeing what we refer to as the dance. And now Nepesity and Atu have switched places again visually, whereas Uri is massive in the entire left side of the sun, and then now we're seeing the connection between Atu and Uri again reconnect with the cloud bank, and then the ionization tail, with the ion tail, the split tail that goes around Isatum's yellow moon, and her 2 other moons. We've been talking about those because they're becoming visible now. So all of these events they're so over the top of us now. It's just, if you know what you're looking at, it's just an unbelievable show. If you don't know what you're looking at, it's kind of like, oh my God, what the hell is that? And I've seen some skies that I've never yet to this in the entire 12 years we've been watching some stuff that's still blowing me away. But it's similar, but it's so close enough on us that it's really hard to tell now because it's so drastic and awesome. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on in the sky. And if you're not out watching this, you're missing the show of a lifetime.
Yeah, I like a lot of Americans have not been outside much.
No, and God, this disclosure about these alien ships, we're not talking a handful of ships. There is so many up there. It's just, I mean, it's spooky. And this has got to be, here we just had another G7 summit. Now I'm putting my, tongue on the chopping block. And we know that from the sightings for the last month, 2 months, 3 months going back, there's so many craft going above us. And the long box cube was moved they moved and they dropped in orbit again, and then they started hanging out over Europe a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, and then we've been getting sightings of them where they're circling back down to Australia again. So now about 3-4 years ago, they did this routine where they went from the North Pole to the South Pole in a vertical orbit around Earth, and we captured it on many different radars, and we saw it from one country to the next, where everybody said, yeah, it was here today, and yeah, it was here today, and yeah, it was here today, and it was like circling the Earth. And then, if you remember, we talked about this, where we saw rockets where it changed and it like lifted itself back up into the orbit. Well, we believe they've dropped back down again, because they're being sighted all over Europe and South America and Australia and Brazil and all of this. So the long box cube is moving. There's many orbs around. There's smaller cubes, megaships, support craft, fighter squadrons. I mean, if you're interested in this, and I'm of course talking to the listener, if you're interested in this, there's so many sightings going now. You cannot deny this, and everybody's talking on Facebook and stuff about the rumors. Well, the government's going to do a fake alien invasion. Well, no, excuse me, this is real.